So hi and welcome to RiderCam TV, another video, and today we're talking about a 3,500 mile ownership of the 1200 GS Adventure. So what have I done? I've been on my bike, as I said, for 3,500 miles, and I've had it roughly about 5 months. So I can see the miles racking up and racking up. And as you can see from previous videos, which we put up on the card, we fitted loads and loads of things to the bike. Now we fitted hand guards from Givy, we fitted a Wunderlich screen, fitted a GoPro mount on the front from Wunderlich, a headlight protector, radiator guards, a new horn, and then rectified the damage that the salty roads and the mushy roads had done to the panniers. And I just thought, seeing as though it's a lovely evening, off out on a ride, off to meet a few friends, and we just talk about how I found the bike. And to be honest, the bike hasn't let me down. It's not skipped or missed a beat, which is to be expected, to be honest. And it's just performed admirably. And I do find that the seat is not as comfortable as I would have thought or would have liked it to be. Certainly after a couple of 100 miles, or an hour and a half or 2 hours being on the bike, I'm wanting to get off to just move around. And I practice lots of different techniques where you're riding, moving yourself around the seat, moving your legs, tensing your muscles, just to keep your body alive, because I think that's one of the things that a lot of people may forget on long rides, that you need to keep your body active. Hence the fact that you wear things like thrombosis socks in aeroplanes and stuff. And I guess the same sort of thing applies if you're sat in the same position for a long time, especially down in Cornwall, where we're only now starting to reap the benefits of some nice weather, that it's quite cold. And I think sometimes you underestimate the amount of time and the extremes that you're putting your body under by just normal wear and tear and normal riding around in temperatures that you wouldn't expect to get any medical side effects from, really. And there's no real medical side effects. I think it's just being aware that you can get the best kit ever, but you're still riding around in temperatures with the wind chill that will drop it right down. Just being aware that every now and then you need to get off the bike or move around. I found, as I said, the seat isn't the most comfortable seat after a long spell in the saddle riding, but the power and the torque, it's just right. I've not got any issues with that. Now I wear, as you've seen on a previous video, ear protection up there in the card, wear those mushy earpieces, and every now and then you chuck your helmet on because you forget to put them in, and the amount of noise that the engine makes, it's really quite a clattery engine when you sat on the bike. And I don't know whether that's me thinking, wow, this is loud, and then realising I've not got my earplugs in, and that being the issue as to why it's loud. But it's quite a clattery engine. I can't think that I've had any miss gears selected. The up and down quick shifter works like a charm, an absolute charm. The cruise control functions just perfectly. I use it in 20 mile an hour limits, in 30 limits, 40s, 60s on the motorway. And I do find, as I've said in previous videos on some of the reviews, that I do find that my right hand goes numb every now and then, and I think that's down to me just gripping hold of the throttle too hard. And I make a conscious effort not to do that. But the reason that I talk about that is because the cruise control really enables me to just take my right hand off the handlebars, just to give it a little bit of a bang on the tank. Some people might see me banging my hand on the tank, and the reason I do that is just purely so I can knock the numbness out, really. I suppose it looks a little bit odd. Now the lights at night, I've been asked a couple of questions about what are the lights like at night. Well, I tend to ride, and so does Mark, we tend to ride with our fog lights on, and we've had them adjusted so that they don't dazzle anybody in the daytime, and we ride with them on all the time. And since we've had them just adjusted, just down, just slightly, not had anybody flash or say that they've been too bright, which is great. And it just gives you that triangle appearance to car drivers. And I think there's some studies to say that that triangle is not only one of the strongest shapes you could ever have, but it's also one of the most recognizable signs. Certainly if you've got a light at the top and two at the bottom on each side, there's something to say that you get noticed a lot more. It's not to say that I haven't nearly been taken off my bike by people pulling out because they just do not look sometimes. But it's about just giving you that extra peace of mind that they are on, and I'm hoping that more people see you. Now I've been averaging, get this, averaging at about 53, 54 miles to the gallon just round town, and on long rides 55, 56 miles to the gallon, which for a bike that's 260, 270 kilos, with me on it as well, so that's on top of the 260 kilos, actually that's a really good range. And sometimes when I fill up, it all depends on how you've been riding, but the computer on the dash at the front very often comes up with in excess of 360, 370 miles in the tank. And I'm obviously not filling up as much as some friends are if they've got their sports bikes that have got 80 or 100 miles in there, which is really great. You can sit on your bike. It costs about £25 to brim it to the top, and I guess those prices change all the time with the prices of oil, and we won't go into there because that's a whole new subject, and I bet that will bring on lots and lots of comments, especially from all of us riders having to pay bike tax at the price that we pay it and all that sort of jazz. But the range on this thing is amazing. It's on par, I would guess, somewhere along the range of the BMW RTs, liquid cooled. And when I had one of those, I was doing 63.8 miles to the gallon when I went around Europe a couple of years ago. So it's not as good as the RT, but for a massive great bike that's not really the most ergonomic, it's a considerably good figure to achieve from a bike of this weight and this shape, really. The suspension I tend to ride on standard. I don't tend to change that very much at all because it just does everything that I need it to do. And I have used the rain mode, especially when it's been absolutely hounding down, and it really does help you with some confidence in your riding, that if you have to pull away quick, you're not going to grab a handful of throttle and it's just going to lose control. It keeps the bike just sublime. It just keeps it very well controlled. Now little things that kind of irk me a little bit, and we'll go through them in a little bit more detail in a minute, but tiny little things that have irked me on the bike that they just haven't got right. Some things you might think, well, that's a little bit anal, Toby, but they all add up. So the sat-nav. Now the sat-nav's a great sat-nav. I bought it separately because they wanted too much money from BMW, so I bought it direct from Germany, and I saved about £200. So really pleased with that. However, if you can see where they've put it, it's not central. Now, people might say, well, you've got a bit of OCD there, Toby, but it's just not central. And once you notice it's not central, it's a real pain. It just gets on your nerves all the time. Now, for me, because I've put this bracket on, I can't necessarily change it and make it central. Thank you, gentlemen. Can't necessarily make it central because the key needs to go in there, and I can't get the key in with that bracket on. So it's a bit of a pain. Now I did find that I was leaning forward quite a bit when I first bought the bike, hence the fact that we've put these up and back risers on. Up the card for that video. And they really do help me. It just pushes you back and keeps your hands up and back just that tiny bit. It's only a couple of inches each way, but it's just enough to not get any of that back pain or just higher shoulder pain as you're riding along, which I found that I had quite a lot of. I haven't yet, but stay tuned. I'm not going to give many spoilers, but we're off on our trips at the end of the week, so you may well see in a few weeks' time some videos of what we get up to. I haven't yet used this little pocket, so I'm going to try and use it when I'm away. So that will be quite a surprise to find whether it is actually useful or whether it's actually just a useless piece of space filler. Now, little things that I have found that I'm not that pleased with is the finish on certain things. So the centre stand, although the centre stand functions really, really well, one thing that I have noticed is mine started to go a little bit rusty already. Now, bear in mind I've only done 3,500 miles. Yes, I've put it through quite a lot of horrendous weather, but it's all been on the road. Now, I don't expect that to go rusty. And there's a guy on one of the comments that gave us a running commentary of how he'd found his bike and his centre stand had gone rusty, and he'd taken it back to BMW and found out that BMW don't actually paint that so thickly across those bars, that it's quite a thin layer. And you know, to BMW's credit, they replaced that centre stand, which is all well and good, but it shouldn't happen in the first place. This is a £16,000 motorbike, and it just shouldn't happen in my mind. And likewise with the panniers. The panniers are brilliant. Brilliant for space. Brilliant the fact that they are fixed to the bike, they're locked to the bike, there's no way of taking them off without the key unless you've got a crowbar or a sledgehammer or something ridiculous to take them off. So they are pretty secure. However, the aluminium on them, either you need to constantly buff them and polish them, or you're going to have them pitted and beveled and messy. And I really don't like that. The rest of the bike looks really clean, the plastics are great, the colour's great. When it's all polished up, it looks just right. But the thing that doesn't look right is the fact that the panniers let the whole look of the bike down. And, you know, yet again, it's a £16,000 bike, and for £16,000 worth of bike, I would expect those panniers to not do that. So this is what I mean about the panniers going all mottled. So what I've done with the aid of the glorious Mrs. Mark is put some vinyl on the tops and the sides and the fronts of the boxes. And not only does it change the look, I think the black goes very well with the style of the bike. However, more functionally, after buffing and cleaning all of that corrosion up off the box, now they're covered and a bit more protection. But more for me, it's a bit more about making sure the bike looks as I want it to look and not looking shabby. The rest of the bike looks as amazing as the day it came out. However, those panniers really let it down, so that's why we did that. And I think you'll probably agree that they do actually look quite good. But all in all, the bike hasn't let me down. It's given me immense pleasure for those 3,500 miles so far, and I'm sure it will carry on for the rest of the time that I have the bike. It's just a great bike, a good all-rounder, not missed a beat. It's an amazing toy, and not only is it a toy for me, but I use it for work, I use it for Ridercam TV, I use it for a whole host of things that I want to do, like many people, but I do use the bike quite a lot. And all in all, really, really happy with it. Good to run in terms of expenses, good mileage, everything's on it, it's all in one place. Just a tiny few little niggles, and those few little niggles I guess would come with any bike that you're riding through the bad weather, and I did meticulously clean it, but you know, hey ho, perhaps I've just been unlucky and cleaned it just that hour or day too late, I don't know. However, all in all, after 5 months of owning the bike, really still pleased with it, and it still gives me a smile on my face every time I open the garage, every time I get on the bike, beaming ear to ear. I couldn't recommend the 1200 GSA liquid cooled enough, really. It just does what it says on the tin, everything and more. So if you've enjoyed this video, give it a great thumbs up. If you've got an experience of owning a GSA and you agree or you don't agree, let's have a bit of discussion down in the comments down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video.